Hello, fellow mood readers. It's that time of year. We're at the end of 2025, so it's time to talk about the favorites, the ones that stuck out, those 5 stars, and even those that are really close but didn't quite make it. Right around the time this is going up, it'll be the holidays, so I hope that you all have a happy holiday for those that celebrate. I'm excited to talk about these books again. Some of them I'm sure you're sick of hearing of. Some of these you might have just heard me talk about as well, because there was definitely no shortage of 5-star reads towards the end. I had quite a few. I do have a little list here, and I'm just excited to talk about these. I had so many that I really enjoyed and 5 stars that I loved, but I kind of narrowed it down. I have some honorable mentions, and I have about 10 that I kept as the top. This book I primarily read on the Kobo. I also have the physical copy, but I bought it on the Kobo when it was like $2, $2.99. And I figured sometimes it's just easier for me to read on the Kobo, especially at night. You know, you don't want to keep the light on, so you have the little e-reader. And that's kind of what I did for this. And I was reading this during that slump that I was talking about in the last bunch of videos. But this one I made slow progress in quite a bit, and it kind of drew me back in. And especially towards the end, I was unable to put this down because the imagery, the atmosphere, and everything in this was absolutely incredible. It was hard to believe that this was a debut. So for that, we're going to talk about Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. Let's put it this way. I did not know that I needed botanical horror in my life, but there was something about this that just was so incredible. You follow Andrew, who is friends with Thomas, and he has a twin sister, Dub, and they're in high school. It's like a private school, so they're boarding. And this like imagery is kept up through the whole thing here. And there's little drawings inside. So if you do listen to the audiobook, you might miss out on some of the drawings and stuff that are in here. Andrew is just trying to figure out what is going on. Something seems to have happened between his sister and his friend. So something is going on with Thomas. His abusive parents have disappeared. You've got an investigation going on. And then you have these things coming to life. He follows Thomas one night and finds this creature that Thomas is fighting with. And it's like his drawings have come to life and are trying to kill him. So there's like this whole thing going on. It's just absolutely incredible. The gore, the atmosphere, just the descriptions. I was thinking something was definitely up, but I kind of didn't. I went with the flow and I didn't think too hard about it. But the end kind of hit me. I wasn't really anticipating that. This is just actually kind of really incredible, and I gave this one full 5 stars. I have Hazelthorn on my cart, so I'm highly anticipating reading this one in the spring. That seems like the perfect time for this. I don't know, there's just something crazy about this writing. It just draws you in, and it is very atmospheric and wonderfully descriptive. So, well, maybe not so much with some of the horror imagery, but I thought it was very well suited, and it was really good. So I think that if this sounds right up your alley, you should go for it. I'm sure you need no introduction. It's kind of made its way around the internet, but I'm finally getting to it, especially since a few of my friends have read it and they really loved it. So, and I can see why now because I've finally finished it. So I realized I was actually going to start out a different way, and I completely forgot about it because I'm me. And I want to highlight an author that I read the most of this year. It was very close. T. Kingfisher had 6 books that I read. Matt Dinniman had 5 books that I read. Oh, thank you! I got hot chocolate delivery. Look at it! Thank you. perfect. Thank you. I read 6 books by T. Kingfisher and 5 books by Matt Denman, so I wanted to highlight T. Kingfisher since none of these actually got 5 stars, but they were all very close, and they all feel like they'll be rereadable, so I will probably go back to them, as they do definitely feel like comfort reads to me. And it was all thanks to the Kobo, because it had A Sorceress Comes to Call on sale. It was one of the first books that I bought, and the absolute first book that I read on that. It was really enjoyable, and I loved it, but I think so far my favorite of T. Kingfisher's, it's torn between some of the Paladin series books, but I really enjoyed Sword Heart. I think that starting the Paladin series first, and then I read this kind of in the middle, I love that they're all connected, and that you don't have to, it feels like you don't have to read the separate ones in order. Like the Paladin series, I definitely would read in order, because there's definitely a through line there. You don't want to go out of order for that. But this one takes place a little bit differently, but it is still connected to that world, and I kind of just absolutely love that. So I actually had a lot of fun with this, and the only thing that kept it from being 5 stars was a part in the last little bit. It felt a little forced, and some of the actions of the characters felt a little bit out of character. For me, that's what kept it from 5 stars, but this was so enjoyable. It just was so much fun. So you follow Hala, and she inherits her uncle's estate and everything inside of it, and the rest of the family is like, why? And they kind of want to get it away from her any way from possible, so she gets locked upstairs in a room, and she draws this sword that was hanging on the wall. It just happens to have a man trapped inside, and he is sworn to protect whoever wields the sword. So you have this kind of unorthodox meeting, and it's just so much fun. I really enjoy T. Kingfisher's fantasy writing. I am going to give the horror another try. I did do I think it was the Twisted one. No, I did listen to the Hollow Places, and I don't think I was expecting T. Kingfisher's writing style, so I do want to go back and revisit that now that I'm more well acquainted with it. But I'm definitely 100% on board with reading more of T. Kingfisher. I really do enjoy the fantasy writing, so I hope to try and enjoy the horror writing style. I definitely check out T. Kingfisher. If you've been hesitant on the horror, but you want to try the fantasy, I had more fun with the fantasy, but I definitely want to try the horror again, going in with different expectations this time. So my next honorable mention is one that I own it on audio. It was a standalone pick for Rachel's book club. I will link Rachel's channel down below. You've heard me talk about Rachel a bunch, especially with some of the other videos that I've done where I've read some of John Gwen's books. I just want to say it's been so fun reading with everybody. So definitely go check out Rachel's channel. Link will be down below. But this one that I'm going to talk to you about happens to be M.L. Wang's Sword of Kaigen. So I do have Blood Over Bright Haven, but I haven't read it yet. This one won the vote for the fantasy standalone. I was a little bit hesitant to pick it up, especially, I don't know why actually, but I did have the audio already. I was excited to finally get to it, especially after hearing so many good things, and it did not disappoint. I felt a lot of things reading this book. It made me cry, it made me mad, and just, there was such a connection to the characters. The storyline just felt really incredible. Like I almost wish, like kind of like everybody else, that there was a little bit more, because this world felt amazing. I really enjoyed the descriptions and the way some of the magic worked. I thought that it was really cool. But it is a war story, and it is incredibly sad. So definitely check out trigger warnings, because there were things in that book that were incredibly upsetting. So I absolutely did not expect things to go the way that they did. I don't want to give too much away, I'm sure you've seen this book everywhere, so I'm not going to do too much of a synopsis for this. I'll just say that the characters were so well thought out, and I just think that there was such incredible detail put in to the story and the politics. This one got a full 5 stars. I know not everybody felt that way, but that's such a great thing about reading, is that everybody feels a little bit differently about all of the things. So it's so fun to discuss books. I'm getting better at it now. I love that there can be so many like differing opinions, but don't come for my favorites, okay? So now I've only got one more to talk about for my honorable mentions, and then we'll get into the top 10. So this author, if you've followed me at all, this author has come up a few times. I really, really enjoy her books, and they all feel like comfort reads to me, even when I'm reading them for the first time. And it might just be the writing style, I don't know, but they're so quick, they're so easy, and there's just such a connection, and I love the way some of the characters are done. So I actually, when the second book in the duology came out, I reread the first book in a day. That's how much I really enjoy these. And I do have a couple on backlist, so I didn't read all of them, but there's only like 2, I think, that I haven't gotten to yet. But this one I absolutely did. I did read it quite quickly. It might have only sat there for a little while, but it was what I needed when I needed it, which is something you'll hear a couple times in this video, because I was being a mood reader. And when you happen to hit that book at that right mood, sometimes that's just an incredible feeling. I'm going with A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. I absolutely love Elizabeth Lim's writing, and all of these are YA. I believe her adult debut is coming next year, and I'm absolutely excited for it, so I will definitely be reading it. Hot chocolate break. So you follow Truyan, or True, whose father is lost at sea, but she's finding any way that she can to get by with her family, and her mother happens to have a gambling debt. So she's been gambling, and True has been trying to keep them afloat, and she has the ability to paint the future, which it's actually really cool and incredible, and I absolutely love this so much. So she's not left with very much choice when she gets an offer of marriage with a mysterious dragon lord, and he wants her to paint a future that is incredibly treasonous and could get them all killed, but she wants that fresh start for her family, so she agrees to it. And it's just absolutely heartwarming and incredible, and just I absolutely love this. So if this sounds fun, if this sounds like a good time, I think that you should pick it up, and don't hesitate, just do it. The duology that I was talking about also as well was, what was that one called? Well, it was Spin the Dawn was the one that I reread in a day for when Unravel the Dusk came out, but it's called the Blood of Stars duology. And Elizabeth Lim also wrote Six Crimson Cranes, which was also incredible. So look at that cover though. That is absolutely stunning. So I want to preface starting the top 10 by saying that none of these are in any particular order, although I did have a few clear favorites. I don't like putting things into a specific order. Some of them are so close it's hard for me to decide, and then I feel bad for putting one below the other. So usually I just don't put them in any kind of order, so that I didn't do that for these. My first 2 I do have on the Kobo. This one in particular, I happened to listen to the audiobook, which was also very well done, and I really enjoyed it. This one was thanks to Rachel. It's been one of her favorites for a long time. So that one's going to be Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This one I spotted on Libby. The library had the audiobook. I was like, yes, that sounds delightful. Let me pick that one up. And it absolutely was. This has the right kind of whimsy, just what I needed, and I just flew through this. I couldn't wait to listen to the rest of it, especially towards the end. I can't believe how it ended, and I'm disappointed I don't have Muse of Nightmares to actually be able to start that. So I really enjoyed this one. I don't want to give anything away for this either, so I'll try to do my best to give you a brief synopsis. So in this, you follow Laszlo Strange, who is orphaned, and he becomes a junior librarian, and he's absolutely obsessed with this town called Weep. And he has some of the strangest, most whimsical ideas and dreams. And he finally gets an opportunity to find out more about it, and he takes it, even going so far as to uncharacteristically put himself in front of the opportunity. He really wants to go, and he really wants to find out more about this city and what's wrong with it, what's going on. And so there's like that underlying mystery there, and for me it felt cozy, comforting. It felt like just what I needed, and that whimsy that Laszlo has just bleeds right through the pages and even right through the audio. Like, it was just so good. I enjoyed it a lot. So if you think you might want to pick this up, then definitely go ahead. Such a good time listening to this. The ending, I wasn't anticipating that ending, so I definitely want to get Muse of Nightmares and read that as soon as possible. So this next one is the same way. It was just what I needed when I needed it. This one was recommended by Allie, and usually our tastes line up quite well, and this one is no different. So that's going to be Sorcery and Small Magics by Micah Ducey. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but this was absolutely so much fun. I loved the banter between the two characters. Well, I loved the banter between all of the characters. There was a lot of stuff going on. I thought that the way that this was written was very clever. I can't wait for the next book. Hopefully it's sometime soon, but I adored the magic too, and it's done a specific way, and I thought that it was very different. I actually quite like it. So this one is about Leo Vander and Sebastian, or Grim and Leo. Grim and Leo. And Leo is really good at writing small magics, and that's why it's Sorcery and Small Magics. So you have these two, and they kind of butt heads no matter what tends to be happening. They don't really get along, and they're kind of like, Sebastian is a bit like curmudgeonly is how he's described in the synopsis. So he is very good at what he does, and he's well respected and well liked. Meanwhile, Leo is kind of like underestimated because he can't seem to do anything that's bigger than these small magics. So you have this kind of back and forth, and when they get paired up together, it's absolutely just incredible. So something happens, and they are bound together by a curse. So they want to break it, and so they have to spend even more time together looking for a counterspell to break this curse. I kind of flew through this, if I remember right. I loved reading it, and I had a really good time. I can't wait for the next book to come out. I loved how this ended as well. I loved how expansive the story kind of is. Like, there's so much that was going on that it's definitely beneficial to be more of a series. Okay, so it's listed as a trilogy, so I'm so excited. I can't be more excited about it. This was just so much fun. I loved Leo and Sebastian. I thought they were just absolutely incredible. It was a good time. All right, so that's all for the Kobo books. Next up, this is one of the more recent ones that I finished, and then there's two others that are like really recent, so I'm not going to delve too deep into those since I did just talk about them. But the first one I'm going to start out with is Weaver and the Witch Queen. I'm still reading Norse. Whenever I get that blog out, it'll be a good time. I hope that you also enjoy Norse mythology, but I'm kind of wrapped up in it right now, and this book is fantastic. I loved this, and I'm so excited for The Witch's Heart. Genevieve Gornichek did such a great job with these characters. So this is the story of Gunhild. She, Odni, and Signy are friends when they're children. After a visiting wise woman is giving futures, Gunhild isn't allowed by her mother to do it. She sneaks in with her friends, and there's an ominous prophecy. She doesn't say much, so it leaves all of them wondering who has that type of future. And it just kind of, it starts right out with a bang. It really doesn't linger anywhere. It's just an absolutely fantastic time. I love this. The characters are so real. They make mistakes. They admit to them, maybe not right away, but they do. And it just feels like an actual representation of what friendship and sisterhood would be like, because she is so close to Odni and Signy. I love it. That's all I could say. So thank you to Faye from Books and Chocoholic. I watched a vlog of hers that when she was reading this, Song of the Huntress and Goddess of the River, and she gave all of them 5 stars. So I'm excited to check the other ones out, because this one was absolutely 5 stars for me. And I cannot wait to read The Witch's Heart. I'm so excited. This book is so good. So this next book, like I said, I'm not going to linger on too long. I probably won't even do like a full synopsis, because it's been all over the place. And if you ask me, it should have won the Goodreads Horror Award, because it was nominated and I voted for it. This book was absolutely incredible. I listened to the audiobook and thought it was amazing, and that is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. So I don't know if you watched my other video, but this book I felt was absolutely incredible. It's like a story within a story within a story. And you have a few different narrators for the audiobook, and I think that's a great way to go. For me, this book actually kind of lends itself to be told. So I think that if you don't prefer audiobooks, then you don't have to go for it. But I do have to check this version out, because this is the Barnes & Noble edition. And I think there was some extra stuff in the back. Yeah, there's some extra stuff in the back. But no one could tell a story like Stephen Graham Jones. I absolutely loved this book so much. It does sometimes maybe feel a tiny bit slower than some other stories, but it's kind of like, it's compelling in that way, that you're waiting for something. And I loved the end. I did. I loved the end. So I would say definitely give this a read. It was absolutely fantastic. If you've been on the fence, please don't be. Read it. Pick it up. I own this book 3 times now. So I have this, I have the Owl Crate edition for the horror book box that they were doing, and now I have the audiobook as well. But it's so worth it. Such a great read. I still got to get through some of my Stephen Graham Jones backlist, so I definitely want to prioritize some of those next year too. Definitely go check this out. It was fantastic. And the same might go for this one as well. This was also in the Goodreads Choice Awards. I don't remember if it won or not. That's going to be Barrier Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I really enjoyed this one. I listened to the audio for it as well. A bit chunky. I know this one was hit or miss for a lot of people, but I enjoyed the writing a lot. It reminded me of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So if you didn't enjoy that, maybe don't go to this. So this book is kind of multi POV, and it's got like 3 different storylines. So you have, 1532, 1827, and 2019. So you have different timelines, and they're all connected. A lot of things about this book are very toxic, but I thought that it was very well done. I liked the ending, but I can see why others might not. When I first listened, I was like, that's kind of mixed, maybe. Like, I had a little bit of a mixed feeling about it. But the more I thought about it, the more I kind of liked it, that it was the way that it was. This is definitely an interesting way to portray this, and I thought it was well done. The characters were very interesting, especially with what started to happen as you're finding out the last story that you start to hear, and it's really interesting. I was so fully drawn in. I couldn't wait to listen to it, to get to the end of it. And I will say that I do understand it not being for everyone. So, but I made my list and I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought about it, because I know there were definitely others who didn't really like it or maybe didn't like the end. It's on my list, so I really enjoyed it. Just like the aforementioned, I need to get to the backlist for V.E. Schwab. I still have a bunch of books that I've got to read for hers as well. But my next one is now an auto-buy author. I enjoyed the previous duology a lot, and I talked about it a lot, and it was also 5 stars. So this one was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and it did not disappoint me, and that's The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. So this is hefty. These pages, I don't know if it's the pages, they're so thick, but this book is heavy. I really enjoyed this book so much. Of course, that's why it's on here. But I love Rachel Gillig's writing. I like how she's able to write like dark gothic stories like this. So in this, already very different from anything I've read, you've got Sybil, or Six, is a diviner, and she is able to see. She is able to call on the omens and give like a prophecy. She can predict terrible things before they occur, and a lot of people travel and come to see them and the prophecies. And she and the other diviners are nearing the end of their service. Suddenly a lot of things are happening. So I love the way Gillig's writing works. I don't know. The way the divining is done is so different, but like I love how the magic works in this. The ending was something else. I really enjoyed how it was done, and I can't wait for the next book in the duology. I love the writing of these, and it was the same thing with One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. If this follows that trajectory, I might like the second book even more than the first, because that's what happened. I loved Two Twisted Crowns so much, and while I loved One Dark Window, Two Twisted Crowns just stepped up, and I wonder if that'll happen for this one. But I already love the story, and I can't wait to see what happens with this. Alright, so next up, we're down to 4 left. I have a sequel. There's actually a few books that are from series, and they're either the end or in the middle, so I'm not going to say too much about them because I don't want to give anything away, but I will tell you what I liked, and I will try not to do any spoilers. But you won't get much of a synopsis, since you've probably heard me or others talk about these anyway. So the next one is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This one follows The Tainted Cup, which was an absolutely incredible time. You have Din and Anna, and they work on solving these mysteries within this fantasy world, and it's just combining that mystery with that fantasy is just absolutely incredible, and I loved it, and I want to read more of it. So if you have any suggestions for something like that, please drop them down in the comments below, because this blew me away. I love that combo. It's just absolutely incredible. So this continues the story of Din and Anna, and they're on another mystery that they have to solve, and the stakes are pretty high in this one. There's a lot going on, and I just love how the dynamic between them is definitely different, and this does not pick up directly after The Tainted Cup. There's a little bit of space in between, so you have them now more familiar with each other, probably several things in between that and this that is called back a little bit, but I think it's very well done. I was definitely more used to Anna this time around, but I definitely enjoyed some of the things that she came out with. She was great, but so was Din, and I just adore these characters, and this world is so vibrant and so incredibly fascinating. It's so different. So go pick up The Tainted Cup and then A Drop of Corruption, because I liked this one actually better than the first one. It's just everything that was fantastic about the first was like doubled in this, and it works so well. I actually finished this on the plane coming home from visiting Allie. I think I had like 200 pages or something left, and I read them all. I can't remember if it was that much, but I'm pretty sure it was. I just flew right through them because it's such a great story, and I can't wait to see what's next. I have to check out Boundary Side. I do have the first book of that, so I'm excited to see how that is as well. Check it out. It's really good. So this one, I'm picking the first book. Because it just got me started and it got me going through the rest. I enjoyed first, second, third, maybe not as much, but I still really enjoyed it. And then kind of the next ones were very close to 5 stars, but that's Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman, and you need no introduction for this. These books were just what I needed. I didn't know I needed them, but I listened to the audiobooks, and I'm sad that they're Audible exclusive, because Jeff Hayes is just amazing, and I wish everybody could hear him. But I think I have one more book to listen to, and then I have one more that I have with my credits. I really enjoyed this series. Jeff Hayes narrated, and he sounds like an entire cast. Like, he's just so good. And I think maybe his narration is what made me love this even more, because now I know going into this, if I'm going to read it physically, I'm going to hear his voice in my head saying new achievement. But lit RPG is something I didn't know I needed, and I want more. So if anybody has any lit RPG recommendations, please drop those down in the comments. I much appreciate it. I want to give the genre a bit more of a try. So I'm not going to talk about this anymore, because this really doesn't need it. This has been everywhere lately. I feel like the last person to have tried to read this. I've read 5 of the books so far, so I have the 6th book on audio, and then I think I don't have 7 at all. So I'm going to start getting them physically, and I'm excited to read the rest of them, because if it's been a bad time, this is what I'm picking up. It's so funny, but it also has heart, and there's more happening, and you get closer to the characters as we're going. So there's so much going on right now when I was listening to the last book that I listened to, and I really enjoyed how the dynamics have shifted within each book. So I'm definitely going to continue the series, and I'm going to get all of them physically, but right now I actually only have the first book physically. So happy to add this to my list, because it was really, really fun. The next one I'm also not going to talk a lot about, because if you've watched any of my other videos, I probably talked this series to death by now. I'm using Wrath. I read 3 of these, I think, this year. I think we read 2 or 3 of these this year, but I'm picking Wrath and putting that as my favorite. This is the final book in the Faithful and the Fallen series. John Gwynne just knows how to write characters. He knows how to get you to care, and even when he makes you go through a villain's perspective, it's for a reason. And sometimes I appreciate it because something happens and it makes me happy. So there's that. But I adore this series, and there's a reason John Gwynne has become one of my favorite fantasy authors. So there's only one more trilogy for me to go, and then I will be completely caught up. But I started with the Bloodsworn Saga, and I do highly recommend that. But I do also really enjoy these books. They were a fantastic time. These characters are fantastic. I love them. Don't be intimidated by the size. They don't read like that. They don't feel like they're as big as they are. They go so fast, too fast sometimes. It is just so good. I highly recommend these. please read them. As long as you like multi-POV, I can't even begin to sort my feelings with this because it's made me cry, it's made me happy, and it's made me angry. So I felt that connection with the characters, and I really enjoyed it. Very well written battles all the time. They go so fast. And my last book shouldn't be a surprise either. I got the e-arc for this, and I buddy read that with Allie, and the first one she picked up first and then recommended it very highly. So then I was able to text her throughout the whole thing, and it's just been such a great reading experience. These books are so well written, it's hard to believe the first one was a debut. I can't wait to see what else this author writes in the future. Definitely an auto-buy author for me now, but that's going to be The Jasad Crown by Sarah Hashem. This is an Egyptian-inspired fantasy, and that's something you don't hear all the time, so right away it felt special. And this book, it's so thick as well, but it was so good. I almost wish that there were more. The last bit of this book, I cried as I read, and I made it through reading that on my phone, and I don't like to read on my phone that much, but I was so excited for this that I had to finish it, and I loved it so much. So I definitely recommend this. This is the final book in the duology. It doesn't stop. It does not stop. There really is barely any filler. There's so much that happens in this book, and I can't believe how it ended, but it was beautiful, and it hurt a lot. There were a lot of things about this that hurt a lot. The characters and the stories are just absolutely beautiful. Sylvia and Aaron, their dynamic just continues throughout this as well. I also love the magic in this. All of the magic that I've read in all of these books has been different from each other, and they found ways to set themselves apart, and that's what this does. It's very different, and it's very well done. The character work is just so incredible. Sylvia is an incredible main character. I think that there's a lot that they struggle with, and there's a lot that has happened that is still happening, and I think that it's just so well written, and it deserves so much. I don't see this talked about as much as it should be. At least I feel that way, but I adore this, and I love it, and I will read anything Sarah Hashem decides to write, because now she's definitely an auto-buy author, so definitely pick this up if you think you might enjoy it. I also have the beautiful Illumicrate editions. They're buried behind there. This was my most anticipated read of this year, and it is one of my top favorites. So if I were putting anything close to one, this would probably be there. I love it so much, and I hope if you decide to pick up this duology that you do too. So that stack is going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, I guess leave a stack. Leave a stack for the stack here. Let me know what your favorites of the year were. Not that I need any more on my TBR, but I'd appreciate it. And let me know if any of these made it on yours. So that's going to be all for today, and I will see all of you in the next one.